So unless you've been hiding under a rock, you've been reading and hearing and seeing all things coronavirus. It is everywhere. And yes, the virus is spreading, but what's spreading even more is fear. And if you're feeling that fear, you're probably wondering, what about your wedding? How does this affect your wedding? Does it affect your wedding? And should you be worried? Hi there, I'm Jamie Chang, your destination wedding planning guru and designer of joy at Mango Muse Events and the creator of Passport to Joy, the step-by-step online wedding planning course for couples. And I share real and honest and useful wedding planning tips, tricks, and advice you can use to help make planning your wedding easy and joyful so you can create a wedding you love. Because let's be honest, wedding planning isn't always very happy. It can be stressful and overwhelming and sometimes downright painful. And nobody wants that. So we're bringing the joy back to wedding planning. Are you ready? Let's do this. Okay, so today we're talking about coronavirus because, let's be honest, it's everywhere. You're hearing it from everywhere. Am I right? And it's affecting so many things. You know, conferences and festivals are getting canceled. Trips are getting canceled. You know, people are going crazy at Costco and stocking up on toilet paper or canned goods, and wet wipes are getting sold out. It's nuts. And then there's the crazy things, right? Like people not drinking Corona beer or going to Chinese restaurants. Coronavirus is affecting everyone. Literally everyone. And the question once again is, how does it affect your wedding? Does it affect your wedding? And is this something you need to be worried about? Now, it's an important question to ask because given everything going on, how can you not ask it? And the answer is both yes and no. But before you freak out, take a deep breath in and out, and let's walk you through sort of what the real deal is and what you need to be thinking about and what you can do about it. Okay? So let's start off by just, ripping off that Band-Aid. And just say that first, know that while the virus is only in sort of particular locations at this point, it likely will spread. It's sort of inevitable. That's what everybody is saying who's an authority in this area. And it's important to know that because you potentially maybe can't stay away from it forever. But here's the thing. It's mild for most people if you're healthy. It's really the folks who are, at risk, and particularly the elderly and those with, pre-existing conditions that need to be more concerned. All you can really do is treat it and life like how you would treat it when it's flu season, which is also kind of right now, right? Treat it in the same way. So, do things like wash your hands and don't touch people and stay home if you're sick. But really, for all the information, for the real information, not rumors, which once again, we're all about real information, you want to make sure you head to an authority. So in this case, someone like the CDC, who has a great website with tons of information that you can use to help you understand sort of what the real deal is with the virus. Okay, so now that we talked about the virus itself, let's talk about your wedding. Now, in terms of your wedding specifically, we're going to talk about location first because for some of you that might be really the issue. And unless you're having your wedding in, say, China or headed to Italy or some other country that, has a really big outbreak, your risk is likely pretty low. Things are constantly changing though, so you definitely want to check in with, once again, like the CDC or the Department of State so that you understand sort of what the travel advisories are around that. Now, if your location, your destination location where you're getting married, happens to be in a place that does have a travel advisory, then you're likely going to want to think about making some changes and adjusting your plans, especially if your wedding is coming up soon. And if you're having a destination wedding, I actually just recently wrote a blog post about all of this and helping you to decide whether you need to cancel or change your plans. And we'll be sharing all those links below too. But for most of you, location isn't really going to be the issue. That's not really the thing here that's going to be affecting your wedding. But there are things that will be. And this is the thing. Coronavirus is going to affect you. and it is going to affect your wedding. And it's really going to be mainly in three ways. The first is product delays. The second is your guests and their fear. And then lastly, your fears. So we're going to talk about all three today. And to start, let's start with number one. So let's talk about product delays. Now, China is obviously the most affected country, and China is also where, as you imagine, a lot of things are made. And so product-based wedding businesses are going to be affected, and they're already getting affected. And in turn, what that means is it's going to affect you and your wedding. So think about all the things that potentially are brought in from China. That could be rental items like chairs or things like bridal gowns. And those things are going to experience delays. As the virus spreads to different locations, those lists of things will also expand. So whether that's more locations internationally or more locations domestically too, those places and thus those items affected will also increase as well as time goes on. So what this means for you is that you may not get something you potentially ordered on time for your wedding. You may experience some delays. Now, the question here is, what can you do about that? All right. So first, check in with the vendors that you've already booked and just check in, see if there's anything you need to be concerned about. If there potentially is, which they'll be honest with you, then create some plan Bs. Maybe that's finding a backup dress or picking out something else that they do have in stock already. And then for the vendors you haven't yet booked, I'd highly suggest you think about going local. And going local is never a bad thing in general for so many reasons, right? But in this case, vendors whose products or sourced products come from the local area is going to benefit you, because then you don't have to worry about shipping or delays because everything's coming from your area. Okay, so that's product delays. That's one thing you're definitely probably going to experience. Now, a second thing, or the second thing, I guess I should say, is your guests and their fears. Now, unlike product delays, this one's a lot harder to deal with, and mainly because you can't judge how someone's going to feel or how scared they're going to be. We said before that there's a ton of fear right now. And it's everywhere. And people are just kind of freaking out about it, if we're being honest. And that fear can result in cancellations. So what does that mean? People might cancel and not come to your wedding because they don't want to travel. Or maybe because, they just don't want to be at a gathering with a lot of people. No matter where your wedding is, if it's happening soon, you are likely going to experience more declines and more last minute cancellations. And this will affect, all things guest count, everything from, flowers to floor plan. And if you're just starting to plan, how you probably want to think about this is just thinking about your numbers maybe a little more conservatively. In addition, it also doesn't hurt to start thinking through some precautions that you might want to take for the people who do attend, so that you're keeping them safe too and they feel comfortable. So one consideration is doing a plated meal instead of, say, a buffet or family style meal, so that there's less sharing. They talk a lot about touching, right? And sort of preventing touching, and weddings come with hugs and kisses, right? So maybe make it fun and find ways to not hug or not kiss or not handshake, and make it fun, but also, keep people safe. Okay, so let's talk about number 3, which, is probably the biggest here, and that's your fears. And that's how coronavirus is also going to affect your wedding, is with yourself. Because it's not just how your guests feel about the situation and their fears, but yours as well, depending on how you personally feel about it, about your, level of germophobia or just your level of fear will affect what you want to do about it. Maybe you don't want to travel. Maybe you don't want to have your guests travel. Maybe you don't want a large group of people together. Or maybe you're worried your guests won't attend your wedding. These can all be reasons to decide to maybe make some changes, which might result in you postponing the wedding to a later date, or relocating it potentially, or maybe just making it a lot smaller so it's not as big of a gathering. Or, maybe you just want to cancel it altogether. Or perhaps you're not concerned. You don't have a lot of fear, you're not afraid, and you want to move forward no matter what. Because, you want to get married and you're not going to let coronavirus stand in your way. And you can totally, by the way, still have your wedding. There's no sort of right or wrong answer here. It's just about making sure you assess how you feel about it so that you know what you want to do about it. Because if we're being honest, right, the coronavirus is not going to go away anytime soon. And it will affect your wedding. But you don't need to freak out or worry. You just have to assess your situation, how you feel about it, and then move forward in the best way possible. Okay? Okay, and I want to hear from you now. So given everything we've talked about, are you moving forward with your wedding and saying, screw you, coronavirus? Or are you planning on making some changes? Let me know in a comment below. And if you enjoyed today's video, please like it, give us some thumbs up. Check out our other videos for even more wedding planning tips. And if you really want more, make sure you hit subscribe so that you can get all the new ones. And if you want help through the entire wedding planning process, including having access to a wedding advisor to ask all your questions, please check out my online course, Passport to Joy. You can find all the links below. Because you deserve to enjoy your engagement, no matter what your budget is. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you next time. Bye!